It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith. Here is Rick Smith.
I think my favorite screenshot of Fox News happened today. I saw the thing. Trump gains, others fail post second debate. They actually go through the different candidates and how much they lost. Like DeSantis, his approval went down 3%. Ramaswamy went down 2%. Nikki Haley went down 2%. Pence went doin 1%. Trump didn't even show up, and he crushed the competition. Shows you kind of how bad they are. It is what it is. But today, the big day, no government shutdown. McCarthy's being ousted, and Trump, got the death penalty corporate-wise. So here to share some thoughts with us on, if this means anything, I've asked our good friend Chris Hahn to come talk with us. Chris is a syndicated radio host and host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. You can find all that over at ChristopherHahn.com. Chris, thanks for taking time for us.
Anytime, man. How you doing?
Good. So kind of a big day. You think?
I mean, Matt Gaetz is going to file his motion and they'll see it in 48 hours. I don't think he's going anywhere. Now, I have been saying this on my podcasts, on the radio, on TV. Where are these problem solvers we've heard so much about? They seem to get like ink once in a while. They're on Jake Tapper and Smirkanish. I would like the problem solvers to identify the key problem in this country, which is that the MAGA Republicans that control the House of Representatives are a chaos caucus. They don't even have a governing philosophy. There's nothing about them that makes any sense at all. I mean, say what you want about, the Freedom Caucus of like 6 years ago, but at least we knew what they wanted. I don't know what these guys want. Other than to destroy everything and burn everything down and to basically cover for Donald Trump. So these problem solvers need to, there's 10 Republicans and 10 Democrats, I believe, in this caucus.
Yeah.
The 10 Republicans need to join hands, cross the aisle, and support the motion to vacate, and then support Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker, and end the tyranny of the minority in this country, because the Republicans didn't win a majority of votes for the House. They may have won a majority of seats thanks to gerrymandering, but they're not a majority party, and they've gotten way too much, and they're basically destined to destroy the country. And I get it. A lot of these people will then be primaried and lose their seats, but what's the point of even having a Congress if we're not even going to be a republic anymore?
No, and it's an excellent point. But who would want the job? Who would want the job knowing that one vote could do what Gaetz is doing? If you put Hakeem Jeffries in there, don't you think Gaetz would do that every other day?
Oh no! If you put Hakeem Jeffries in there with 10 Republicans joining to put Hakeem, you change the rule. That's the end of it.
Can you change the rule mid legislative body?
The House is a majoritarian organization. If you have enough votes, you could do whatever you want in the House of Representatives. You could change that rule. In fact, look, for Kevin McCarthy to be saved by Democrats, which, everybody thinks that he's going to be saved by Democrats, there's going to have to be some changes to the rules. And some of the changes to the rules are going to have to require, some guarantees of the things that Kevin McCarthy has been promising. And particularly, he's going to have to give the Democrats some power. You don't give away votes for free.
True.
Right? So, I mean, there is no path for Kevin McCarthy to remain as Speaker without support from Democrats. And there is no support from Democrats without a significant change to the rules and without some significant power coming in their directions. So I suspect that by the end of the week, we're going to have a much clearer picture of what happens here, maybe by the end of Wednesday or Thursday, right? So I fully expect that Kevin McCarthy will have to make a deal, or the problem solvers will have to make a deal and solve the problem. And look, Kevin's a weak speaker. The man is a weak speaker. He's not to be trusted. He's already broken his promise that he made when he negotiated the debt ceiling. He's broken it. So why would anybody believe him? Now, I give him credit for not allowing the government to shut down. I give him credit for passing the debt ceiling. That was very difficult to do in the position he's in. But I don't, give him a pass for breaking his rules. And again, I'm a partisan. I'm not giving you my vote for free. And I think Hakeem Jeffries and the leadership of the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives are very disciplined on this. You watched AOC yesterday. Who everybody thinks is this wild card person. She's not. She's actually a very skilled legislator who is kind of figured out this game pretty quickly. And she was very clear. I'm not supporting Kevin McCarthy for speaker. And if he's going to get bailed out by us at all, what's in it for us? Yeah. I mean, that's the game.
No, because everyone's waiting for Democrats to do what Democrats do, and that is save the Republican Party. And I'm like, they should stay out of this pie fight. Let the.
And by the way, if any of those problem solvers on the Democratic side cross the aisle and save Kevin McCarthy for nothing,
shame on them.
Shame on them. And I could see that happening too. So, although it's going to take more than 10, I think, right? So, it looks like there's about 20 or so votes to oust McCarthy. So you need 20 or so Dems to save him. So I think that means you need a leadership deal. And I don't know when he's going to offer them. I debated Mick Mulvaney on this yesterday, and Mick, pretty smart guy, right? A guy with who's been around the block a few times. He doesn't think there's any math that makes Hakeem Jeffries speaker. I disagree. I think that there are some moderate Republicans who are annoyed with the way Kevin McCarthy has allowed 20 or so nitwits to kind of hijack the caucus.
Yeah, I'm chewing on that because the thought of Hakeem Jeffries getting Republican votes. I don't know. I don't know that I'm with you on that.
Well, he concedes that they could be a Democrat, but it wouldn't be somebody from the leadership, right? That they would have to have some sort of compromise person who's kind of like name, kind of just an interim speaker kind of thing. And that was his argument. He did not Mick did not dismiss the idea of a potential Democrat. He dismissed the idea of
it's happened before.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see Jeffries though. I'm
I think we look, if Matt Gaetz successfully brings this motion to the floor and the Democrats aren't going to back him and he has the 5 votes he needs to he has enough votes to vacate the chair. You wind up with coalition government no matter what you do.
Right.
So there's only a 5-vote majority. And, at any given time, 1 or 2 of them could be gone. So maybe you got a 3-vote majority and you got one of them's indicted on several charges. I don't know. I mean, I've seen crazier things happen in my life.
Like, someone brought up earlier, the fact that we could have no speaker.
No, you can't have no speaker.
Well, if you can't get someone with enough votes, if you can't get someone into that position, what are you going to do?
You can't operate the House without a speaker.
And then that's
so, and that would be really bad. And I don't think that would last more than a couple of days. I mean, we saw that at the beginning of the year, right? People start getting mad. Punches almost get thrown on the floor of the House of Representatives. But the Democrats are not going to resolve the Republicans' leadership fight for them. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I was happy to see they didn't do it the first time. So they shouldn't get involved in it this time.
They're not going to do it this time either unless they get something sweet in return.
Yeah, like maybe not steal food out of the mouths of children. Maybe not, gut Meals on Wheels funding. Maybe not do all of the horrible things that, if you look at that legislation that they wanted to ram through, maybe not do that.
Right. Maybe not do that. Maybe end the fraud impeachment hearing that has no basis in fact.
Oh, see, I want them to continue that.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the problem I see with it is that the media is obsessed with telling both sides of the story. And if we're talking about the criminal that is Trump with his 92 indictments and then his civil cases that are even worse in some respect, we must say something bad about the Democrats, right? We must cover this impeachment hearing, which was a joke, which was a fraud. Even their own witnesses said it was a joke and a fraud.
Yeah.
And then when they introduce evidence, they're introducing, doctored evidence that, again, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez kind of tore apart. Stranger things have happened. I want rules. I want changes to the rules, and I want ending of things, and I want chairs. If Kevin's going to stay in power, he's going to give us a chair.
Wow. Well,
Something important.
there you go. We'll see. Well, look, I mean, I think he's the kind of guy who will do whatever he needs to do to keep his seat.
Well, he
The
likes
question
that
is, how
office.
far
I mean,
will
it's
the
got
Republicans
it's got
allow
a
him to
very
go?
nice view of the mall. It's beautiful. You could see all the way to the Lincoln Memorial. I was there. I was in D.C. for a couple of days last week. It's inspiring.
Yeah.
So
But if you listen to my conservative friends, it's on fire. Like every major city in the country, it's all bad. It's all bad, Chris.
It's not on fire. I saw a couple of people who might have had some mental illness while I was out there. They were fine. I mean, I tend to look like a cop, so they kind of stay away from me. But it was fine. I walked at night in DC. I look, I have a thing when I go to a strange city. I gotta find a good ice cream place, like a good local ice cream place. And there was one about a mile from my hotel. I was staying right by the Capitol. And I walked to this place at night after dinner, like around 7:30. It was dark. Walked up there, got myself a gelato, walked past the World Kitchen, which was, the food bank of DC. There were people there. It bothered me. I get it. Look, man, people have to understand there, but for the grace of God go I. I grew up pretty poor, very poor, frankly. I went to college on the Educational Opportunity Program here in New York. Food stamps. My mother was 16 when I was born. It not pretty. We can all be there, right? We're all like one catastrophe away from that. So my first instinct is, what can we do to help? How can we make these people have a better life? And I think that if we thought more of that in this country and stop looking at people as, oh my God, that'll never happen to me, and start thinking about what can happen to you,
Yeah.
I think we'd be better off.
No, you're spot on. It's the reason that I'm a Democrat. The reason I support their policies, because
Me too.
I believe. Look, much like you. I grew up in a housing project on the west side of Cleveland. My mother was 16 as well. We were on and off food stamps, and it was the most humiliating, embarrassing moments of my life that I still remember and I internalize. And I want no one to have to suffer those indignities just to put food on the table. So we share that. I think is
nothing like wearing your cousin's clothes to the first day of school, and your cousin was a lot thinner than you. I mean, I'm pretty fit now, but when I was a kid, not when I was a little. When I got to high school, I did okay because sports fixed me. But no, when I was an elementary school kid, man, I looked goofy.
Yeah. We'll
Sorry.
leave that
Where
there.
we go? Where we going
with
this conversation, Rick? What is this here? The Howard Stern show? You're going to bring out my tall tales, my tales of woe?
No, look, I think it's important that people hear these, that these stories get out there. It's one thing to see you, on TV and doing your thing, but to realize that you weren't born with a golden spoon. You didn't have all of the advantages. That opportunity, people gave you a helping hand. Like you said, there was the opportunity scholarship that gave you the ability to go on to school. I don't hear you going, hey, you know what? I got it. Screw the people behind me. I need a tax cut.
No, and not only that, I'll go one step further. Even though I'm not a religious person right now, I mean, I'm not anything but it. I grew up in the church, and I read the teachings of Christ. And it's funny, all these religious right people who are laughing at the jokes that Donald Trump's telling over the weekend about Paul Pelosi being beaten in his own home. Matthew 25 is a driving principle in my life. That which you do unto the least of them, you do unto the Christ. Right. I don't understand how this party, this Republican Party, which I used to think had some sort of moral compass, allows that man to go and, throw F-bombs. He's running for president of the United States. What about the children? You remember how we used to always have to worry about the children? Remember how the Republican Party was trying? Look, I'm a Howard Stern fan. You know this. You remember how they were trying to drive him out of radio?
Yeah.
Because what if a kid was in the backseat of the car listening to his parents' radio? What about the kids watching a former president give a speech who's dropping an F-bomb and joking about a man who was almost beaten to death in his own home, who is still recovering? The cruelty of that party is just beyond me. And then for them to say they are Christians, it blows my mind. The hypocrisy of it drives me insane.
Well, here's the thing, Chris. The cruelty is the point.
That is.
I mean,
That's it.
That's the reality of it. These people are cruel.
Yeah.
And that's really the point in all this, to make other people suffering their entertainment. And look, I'm sure you've seen a lot of his speeches where he just rattles on. I mean, I listen to the right beat up on Biden for him not being the greatest orator in the world, but I've been listening to Trump. He sounds like, I don't know what's going on up there. Maybe all of these trials are getting him. I mean,
or
today
maybe he's
there
old
was a
too. Maybe he's an old man too.
Maybe.
I mean, he's 79. I'm sorry. He's not only old, but part of his blood is KFC gravy, right? He's 50% gravy. He's 50% gravy. He's incredibly overweight, although I do think he's on Ozempic right now. He looks like he's thinning out a little bit. But he's overweight. He's got that, I don't know, what is it, cotton candy hair that he does. And you're telling me he's the guy. He says he's running against Obama and that he beat Obama in 2016. I don't know. He doesn't even know where he is half the time. I've seen him walk downstairs. It's not pretty. We all have.
Do they have a short stair? Can you believe that last week the big story was Biden wears tennis shoes and then they're worried about him falling while he's walking the picket line?
He's 80 years old. Okay, look, Biden is an old man, and it is okay if he takes steps to protect himself from falling because he's an old man.
I take steps to protect myself from falling.
Me too. Okay, I absolutely do, but that's just because you're old and you got to protect yourself from falling. Doesn't mean you're incompetent to talk and learn and do things. He's gotten a lot done. The guy knows what's going on in this world because he's been here as long as anybody in this business. I don't know. The guy's pretty freaking accomplished, and just because he's old, I mean, that's the issue. And then you're going to say, "Oh no, let's go with this spry 78-year-old." Give me a break. I mean, here's what I think we should do. Okay, we should make it safe for them so neither one of them fall. But we should just have them run laps around the track, both of them together at the same time, and see who drops first. And whoever keeps going, my money's on Biden.
Yeah, my money's on Biden.
Whoever drops, whoever can last the longest is president. All right? Forget the election, forget spending the money. Let's just have them run laps, and we'll see what happens.
I got to get your thoughts on, lastly, before I let you go, I got to get your thoughts on the big trial today. I guess this is the penalty phase, right? I mean, I guess they screwed up, and this was a bench trial where it's been ruled that the corporate death penalty is possible. What's going on here?
I mean, I don't think he's going to get the corporate death penalty, but he's going to lose something, right? Somebody posted on Twitter or one of the other sites today, let's seize Trump Tower and make it a home for migrants, right, who are coming up here. Right, for seeking asylum. That'd be great, right?
And leave the Trump name on it.
Yeah, I mean, they'd form a condo board and they'd vote it off like every other condo in New York City. But it's look, I think he made a mistake, but it was going to be bad either way. And now he's in the penalty phase of this. It was a summary judgment that he committed fraud, which is just beyond me. He's screwed in a lot of ways, and he's gonna lose a lot. He's gonna lose a lot of his New York properties. He's not gonna be able to do business in New York, I don't think, anymore. Whether that impacts him broadly across the country, I don't know. I don't think he'll lose Mar-a-Lago. I don't think he'll lose Doral, but he's gonna lose a lot of these properties here in New York, which is a big part of his empire, 40% or so, 50% or so of his empire. So great job, Eric and Don Jr. while running the show, and him himself. I mean, he lied about the assets. I mean, how do you take an 11,000 square foot apartment and say it's 30,000 square feet? I mean, that's a pretty big lie.
It was a typing error. But here's the thing: the defense I loved that he can't overinflate the price of anything because tell me if I'm wrong here because it seems weird to me that he can't make the price high enough because he's always be able to find a Saudi to buy it,
or a drug lord. There was evidence it looked like a drug lord, like who formed the S corp called Snowball Corporation. I mean, come on. I mean, the guy was really proud. He was a proud drug lord. They were. Yeah, I mean, you could always find somebody who's trying to launder money, is what he was basically saying, and that's sick. It's real sick.
There you go.
And that's his defense. And I hope he loses everything, but again, 40% of Americans do not understand that this man is evil. And then there's another 10% that are at least willing to give him a chance. And that time to campaign. I was happy that Biden went on the offensive last week, called him what he was, a tyrant. I'm glad that General Milley said what he did. I'm glad to see General Kelly today finally break his silence on this and say, yeah, everything that they wrote about what he said was true. I was there. Good. You know what? Start campaigning. But what bothers me is it doesn't matter. Guy's been in the military his whole life. We support the military, but that guy's deep state, even though Trump made him his Homeland Security secretary and his chief of staff, we can't trust that guy now because he's deep state. Somebody's gotten to him. He took the shot, and now Bill Gates controls him.
Crazy times. But Chris, I appreciate the time as always. Great stuff, my friend.
Me too.
Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
Our good friend Chris Hahn. Make sure you check out his website, ChristopherHahn.com. Also, the Aggressive Progressive Podcast. You get to wherever you get your favorite podcast. Let's take a quick break. Right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania to the auto factories of Michigan to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
The best way to strengthen America's economy? How about investing in America's fastest growing industry? Clean energy. It means millions of jobs that pay well and can't be outsourced. And lower utility costs for families. Congress, let's get it done.
It takes a lot to raise a family. A good job, a good salary, and some patience. A lot of people my age are drowning in college debt. But I chose a different path. I'm a member of the IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I work hard for my job, and I love what I do. I had a lot of choices for my future, but I made the best choice for my family. IBEW, the right choice.
The old factory towns in America's heartland have been taking a beating. Thing is, though, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The Inflation Reduction Act will lower energy prices and create millions of new jobs by dramatically increasing the manufacturing of solar panels, wind turbines, electric cars, and energy-efficient home appliances. We're finally turning things around after 40 years of screwing over working people. But will we keep moving in the right direction? That's our choice as Americans.
As Chris pointed out, General Kelly came out. Now, understand, General Kelly's not just anyone. He was Trump's longest-serving chief of staff. So he was in on all of this. He was there for everything. He was basically Trump's right hand during his time there. And, for him to come out and say, look, what can I say? What can I add that has not already been said? Trump, a person that thinks those who defend their country in uniform or are shot down or seriously wounded in combat or spent years being tortured as POWs are all suckers because there's nothing in it for them. A person that did not want to be seen in the presence of military amputees because it doesn't look good for me. A person who demonstrates open contempt for a Gold Star family, for all Gold Star families on TV during the 2016 campaign, and rants that our most precious heroes who gave their lives in America's defense are losers, and he wouldn't visit their graves in France. He went on to say a person who is not truthful regarding his position on protection of unborn life, on women, on minorities, on evangelical Christians, on Jews, on working men and women, a person who has no idea what America stands for and has no idea what America is about, a person who cavalierly suggests that a selfless warrior who has served his country for 40 years in peacetime and war should lose his life for treason in expectation that someone will take action, a person who admires autocrats and murderous dictators, a person that has nothing but contempt for our democratic institutions, our Constitution, the rule of law. There is nothing more that can be said. God help us. That is the statement of John Kelly, who was his longest serving chief of staff. And remember, Trump only hired the very best people. So when this guy comes forth and says, I saw it all, I was there, and I'm telling you, this guy is horrible, this guy is not someone who should be in office, maybe, I don't know, maybe we should listen. Just kind of throwing that out there. Maybe you should listen to what the general has to say. Like him, like his politics, like him or not, it's all true. All the stories we've been hearing for years, it's all there. So you can't blame ignorance. We all know. Quick break, right back.
I am a member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I feel very connected to my West Virginian roots in being part of a union. We've always been known to generate energy here. Renewable energy would definitely help generate jobs and get people back to work. If we don't start bringing in more jobs, more and more people are going to leave. Solar, wind, hydro, these can help reinvigorate West Virginia's economy. It's time to give West Virginia a chance.
Before we close the program, we want to take a moment to thank our viewers and to share a little bit about why we do what we do. At the Rick Smith Show, we believe that media today is almost entirely controlled by corporate greed. So we have now 24-hour news channels. But instead of 24 hours of news, what we get is 1 hour repeated 24 times, and with tons of commercials, creating obscene amounts of profits. Information once presented as a public service has now become a private commodity. So when lies make money, lies are what we get. We get a corporate-controlled rage machine feeding us anger and hate, trying to convince us that our problems are right, left, or red, blue, when they are and always have been up, down, the wealthiest 1% versus the rest of us. Our goal is to be an alternative to that machine, not as a news show with a fancy journalist out front, but as a talk show run by a union truck driver and a team of working-class heroes just like you. Everything we do, both what we get right and what we get wrong, is dedicated to advancing the interests of America's working families. No corporate ad buys, no think tanks, no focus groups, no talking points. We are media by working people, for working people. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next time.